In Joe Rogan's powerful conversation with famous British author Graham Hancock, they dive deep into the mysteries of the Amazon, uncovering lost tribes, hidden civilizations, and evidence that challenges everything we thought we knew about history. From advanced farming methods to ancient cultural wisdom buried beneath the rainforest, this discussion will leave you questioning whether the Amazon holds secrets of humanity's forgotten past. Let's have a look.
Some of the more fascinating pieces of evidence in South America have come out recently about these channels and pathways that they've found in the Amazon that could not have been created any other way but by humans.
Absolutely.
Creating irrigation, humans creating, like, it appears like grids, like a city grid.
Definitely. The Amazon is a colossal mystery, and it's one of the subjects that I explore in depth in America before. First of all, to give some basic figures, the Amazon basin is huge. The Amazon basin is 7 million square kilometers in area. And within it, 5.5 million square kilometers remains almost entirely unstudied by archaeologists. And that's the 5.5 million square kilometers that is still covered by dense rainforest. And to put that into perspective, 5.5 million square kilometers is the size of the entire Indian subcontinent. So it's like saying, we've done world archaeology, but we've just ignored India. You know, we've done world archaeology, but we've just ignored the Amazon. It's the same argument. 5.5 million square kilometers. The view was, again, there was a dogma. There was a preconception. Human beings couldn't have flourished in the Amazon. It's not a resource-rich area. The soils are poor. It's a difficult area, challenging to get to, very far from the Bering Straits. So the view was that humans hadn't entered the Amazon until about 1,000 years ago. And then gradually, little by little, that view has begun to change. And it's begun to change because of the tragic clearances of the Amazon, because the Amazon rainforest is literally being cut down and turned into soybean farms and cattle ranches. And in that cutting down process has emerged things that shouldn't be there at all. For example, evidence that large cities flourished in the Amazon. Enormous cities, which were larger than there was a Spanish explorer who went down the Amazon River system in 1541 to 1542. He was the first European to cross the entire length of South America from west to east along the Amazon. He reported seeing incredible cities, advanced arts and crafts, millions of people, a thriving culture. And 100 years later, when other Europeans got into the Amazon, they couldn't find these cities. So they said, Francisco Orellana, that was his name, made it all up. It was just a fantasy. And then in the last decade, as the clearances of the Amazon have proceeded, we've begun to see the traces of those cities. What happened was that the Spaniards brought smallpox into the Amazon. Smallpox devastated the local population because there was no immunity to it. There was a massive die-off. The cities were deserted. Within 50 years, they were completely overgrown by the jungle, and that's why they were not seen by the explorers who came in 100 years later. But now the jungle's being cleared, those cities are emerging, and we can say that a city like London, which had a population of roughly 50,000 in the 16th century, there were cities of that size all over the Amazon. Wow. Huge numbers of them. And a possible total population of the Amazon that exceeded 20 million people.
What?
Yes, 20 million. This is the latest evidence from the Amazon. And then you ask yourself, how did they do that? How did they feed 20 million people in the Amazon? Because it's a fact, rainforest soils are poor. It's one of the reasons these soybean farms are a really stupid idea, because once you clear the rainforest, the land is largely unfertile and you can't grow stuff on it for very long. So how did they feed all these people? The answer was they invented a soil. And that soil has a name. It's called terra preta. Archaeologists refer to it as Amazonian dark earths or Amazonian black earth. It's a man-made soil. It's thousands of years old. It's full of microbes that are not found in adjoining soil. It's based around biochar. And you can take a handful of 8,000-year-old terra preta and you can add it to barren soil, and that soil will instantly become fertile. It's highly sought after in the Amazon, and it explains how they fed these people. There was science in the Amazon.
How did they create this?
Well, this is something that's not understood. It's still not understood by soil experts to this day as to how that was done, but it's one of many intriguing pieces of evidence of much higher development in the Amazon that it has been given credit for, and of a kind of science in the Amazon.
Jamie's got an image of it up there. So this is it?
This is terra preta, yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. And
so was that done by burns? Did they use controlled burns?
They did. One way that it was achieved was to do wet burning of middens. They would be burned and smolder. They wouldn't burn fiercely, which just produces charcoal. They would burn and smolder, and that what is called biochar would result, and that's part of the fertility of the soil. But the mystery is the microbial content of this soil, which is completely different from the microbes in neighboring soils, and that remains unexplained.
So what are the theories? Composting, some sort of advanced composting?
It's some sort of advanced composting, but again, what has not been explained is the microbial content of these soils. So there first of all is an issue of how two things: how large populations get fed in the Amazon, and evidence that there was a culture in the Amazon that was capable of manipulating the environment in such a way that it could support large populations with the invention of terra preta. Secondly, new evidence previously not recognized: the Amazon is basically a garden. The Amazon is a man-made rainforest. There are certain trees like Brazil nut trees or the ice cream bean tree, which are food crops, which are very, very valuable, and they dominate the tree regime in the Amazon. They're what's referred to as hyperdominant species. In other words, people living in the Amazon over thousands of years selected certain trees, which they then cultivated and grew. So the whole thing is not simply a wild, pristine rainforest. It's a very ancient man-made environment. And emerging from that man-made environment, as well as evidence of large cities, large populations, and this mysterious dark earth, are huge geometrical structures. And again, I go into this at length in America before because I love this mystery. We have in the UK structures that are called henges. I live in the city of Bath, and about 30 miles away there's a beautiful site called Avebury, and another more famous site called Stonehenge. And what a henge is a ditch which has been dug deep, and then an embankment has been pushed up outside the ditch. When people first saw these structures, they wondered if they'd been built for defense. But then it became obvious they hadn't been built for defense, because if you want to create a moat, you put it outside your embankment, not inside your embankment. So a henge is an earthwork which consists of a deep moat with a large embankment outside it, and it can be circular, it can be square, and in the UK and other parts of Europe it often contains stone circles, megalithic stone circles as well, but the henge itself is entirely an earthwork. What we find in the Amazon are thousands of henges that are now beginning to emerge from the cleared area of the jungle, and others that have been identified for the first time with LiDAR. LiDAR technology is being employed in the Amazon. It's non-destructive. You can see what's under the trees.
What is LiDAR?
Light imaging and detective radar. They bounce laser beams down into the jungle. There's a whole pattern of them. You need helicopters, and but it doesn't damage the rainforest.
Now, in this powerful conversation, they uncover the truth about the Amazon encounters with tribes living beyond modern reach, traditions rooted in ancient wisdom, and the battle to save their way of life before it disappears forever. Watch yourself.
The Xingu region is where all of the major LiDAR came out within the last 10 years. They found all the ruins of these giant cities. And there's a city called Kiriguyu, I think. And it had an estimated population of about 1 million people, which is the size of Rome. And, when you look at the LiDAR images, you can't get a perspective of how big they are. I have access to a LiDAR database of the entire United States, and I've mapped all kinds of huge uncharted mound sites in Florida, all of the Southeast. I have hundreds of sites marked. And when you first look at them on a map, you're like, oh, okay, like maybe that looks like it's 50 feet long or something. No, they'll be like 300 yards long, like these giant raised platforms in the middle of the forest here in the US. And if I had access to LiDAR data like that, where I could measure it down in the Amazon, some of these things are miles long. Like raised platforms are a mile long, and they have highways. Like, maybe we should pull up just an image of a LiDAR scan from the Amazon. But you'll see this central city area. You'll see step pyramids and raised platforms. Maybe this is where people lived, or maybe this is where the market was. And there will be a road that cuts straight through it, and you can see the road just goes off in the distance for miles and miles and miles. And so what they would do, here we go. Yeah, this is So this is one of these sites I believe this is in Brazil, or maybe it's in northeast Bolivia.
And is all that area covered completely with jungle right now?
Completely covered in jungle. Yeah. So if you went out there,
You wouldn't see any of this.
you may not realize that you were standing on a mound. Like, you really got to train your eyes. I put out this, I filmed this little series about a year and a half ago called Jungle of Stone, where I was going through the jungles in Central America, and we charted this city that had 16 pyramids in it. We were there all day long, and we charted 16 pyramids. And when I put it out, I got all these comments are like, "You're not doing anything but walking on a bunch of hills," because it's so hard to see it. The jungle just claims everything back. So you really have to sit with seeing these things in person for a while before you start recognizing, oh, that is a mound, or that is a pyramid, that is a structure under the jungle. And so Percy Fawcett, where that LiDAR came out is one of the places that he told his wife. He didn't share this publicly where he thought that the city was, but it's like bang on. He was exactly correct about where he thought a city would be. And we don't know if he reached it or not.
Wow. It's so interesting because how long has LiDAR been around for?
I don't know.
And how long has it been used? I mean, think about for how long people had no idea if this existed because it was completely covered with jungle. They just assumed that if there was evidence of a civilization, it would be pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But it's not. And it makes you wonder, like, as technology increases in its potential, like what other new technologies will be discovered that will allow you to, instead of like having this ambiguous view of under the pyramids, have like a crystal clear, like accurate dimension by dimension, almost like a 3D map.
This century for sure. This century is going to be insane. It's going to be insane. Like, you're going to have everyone scanning everything. All of the Amazon will be mapped with LiDAR by the end of this century. All of the Sahara is going to be mapped with LiDAR by the end of this century.
The Sahara is a big one.
Yeah. Well, those are my two big things. Like, when we talk about Atlantis and we talk about lost civilizations, I mean, my thing is the Sahara and the Amazon. Both of these things existed pre-Ice Age, especially if we're talking about pre-Ice Age civilization. The Sahara is an oasis, 10,000 plus years ago. It's an oasis. You have 2 or 3 of the world's largest lake systems on there. You have rivers everywhere. It would have been like a beautiful place to live.
Abundant resources, so there's no worry about food, shelter.
Yeah.
Plenty of time to figure things out, which is the thing that has always made sense to me. If you know the history of the Nile Valley and where Egypt was, like, that was a wonderful place to live, to try to figure things out, right? Because you have so much food. And once you have so much food and you're kind of separated from everybody, it's really tough to get to you. So, like, they lived unchallenged in that civilization for thousands of years.
In Joe Rogan's conversation with wildlife explorer Paul Rosalie, they unravel the mysteries of the Amazon, sharing encounters with remote tribes, stories of untouched wilderness, and the hidden wisdom of people living deep within the rainforest. Let's dive in.
And the tribes are surrounding them. They had no idea. Wow. And they just started throwing arrows from the shadows. Like, you could literally walk 15 feet and then be like, I'm just going to come right back. And the jungle will, like, Blair Witch you. Because it's all green. So you just like think you know what you're doing. Just last week, I took people, I wanted to cross from one trail to another trail. And I was like, I'm a guide, I can do this. And I came back out on the same trail like a half hour later. And I was like, yep, that's what I meant to do. Let's go. And like, it happens to JJ all the time.
Really?
You cannot find your way in the
jungle. Do you use a compass?
Don't use a compass.
Why not?
Because actually, apparently some of the iron content and some of the saps in the trees pulls the needle. It doesn't work really well. It's like,
even the trees are trying to trick you.
Oh my God. GPSs run out of batteries. It's like you really you have to learn your bushcraft. You have to learn how to navigate in the jungle. And it's like which is pretty much, you have to get just amazing at dead reckoning and remembering your course, because it's so dense that like we play with people. We go, we'll go see if you can go from here to there. And it's like, they can't go there. They can't do that as soon as you leave the river. So like, I had gone out on this solo, gotten lost, gotten scared, and then been like, oh shit, what if I just like into the wilded myself? What if now I'm going to be the next kid that went and died in the Amazon? And like, I like slept in the hammock, but this is like as I was learning. So I didn't realize that the hammock that I had bought had a mosquito net on top, but the back was not mosquito proof. So they could stick through So my back was being destroyed by mosquitoes as I'm trying to sleep. And like a couple of nights of that. And so I finally fall asleep and I wake up in the middle of the night and I hear breathing right next to my face. And I like wanted to turn my headlamp on and I just hear like right here. Like I could feel her breath. And I was like 6 inches away from a jaguar's face. And she just like, and then left. And she just came in. She wanted to see what that was. She was like, you're not going to move. That's what you're not going to do. She growled like right into my ear. And then later on, but that one's cute though. That's a cute picture, Richard. That's a cute jag.
Wow. And they vary in colors and the spots and everything, right? Like some of them are much darker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, actually somebody recently was like, where do you see panthers? And I went on this whole thing of like, a leopard or a jaguar, just like you can have albinos, you have a melanistic one. Yeah.
Wow.
So like people would call that a panther, but a panther's not a real, there's no animal that's a panther. It's like
right.
Kleenex. It's like, it's just another name for it.
That is so beautiful.
But a black
Look
jag.
at that thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
Yeah. In South India, they have the black leopards.
What an amazing looking animal.
Look at the muscles.
Yeah, it's an amazing killing machine.
And so humans don't get taken out by them?
I can only really speak for our region of the Amazon, but I haven't even heard a story about it.
Really?
But no one. Our jags are just, we have like record numbers of jags. Like I think they're listed as near threatened, and we have like some of the strongest remaining jaguar populations in the world. It's incredible.
And you barely see them.
We barely see them. The last one I saw was 2 years ago. And some people like go their whole lives without seeing them.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because people walk off into the jungle and they don't realize people, it's so funny living in the wild and seeing people show up there. And it's like people come and they're like, they smell like shampoo and cologne and bug spray and deodorant. And they're just like, if to an animal that has such better senses than we do, they might as well just have like sirens on them. And like you are this shiny, glittering foghorn of attention in the jungle. And like every animal is going to run away from you. And so people are always like, how come you go out and you see so much stuff? And it's like, I only shower in the river. I live out in the jungle. I smell like they do. Like I'm out there for weeks. And it's like, I'm not going and like shampooing my hair. It's like, and so like to these animals, like they know when you're coming. Like a jag's just going to be like, oh, there's a human there.
Do you wash with soap when you wash in the river?
I do use a biodegradable soap. You have to keep your skin clean or else you just get infections. But like for the most part, like my clothing, everything, like I don't use anything that's scented because of that, because I want to be out there and just blend in. And that's whether I'm out in the field with elephants or whether you're out in in Africa or India or whether you're in the Amazon. I want to be sort of like included. I want to blend in. And so like not that long ago, I was checking a camera trap and I thought it was we had students at our research station at the time. And I heard like the leaves going like, and it was like September. So the jungle was dry. And I turned around and I was going to scare this person because I was going to be like, who walks that loud in the jungle? Like, you have no respect. And I turned around with my finger up and this jag walked right by me on the trail and just went, what's up? And just kept walking. And I was like, finger up. And I was like, okay.
Oh, Lord.
But I took that as good because at least I was, my like scent trail was so that he didn't know I was there. I could see it on his face. He didn't care. He was like, hey. But I mean, he was 6 feet away. He didn't even break his stride. He just walked by me and was like, yo, what's up?
They don't think of you as food, so they just keep moving.
No. And I think they're, with big cats, the mothers teach the young how to hunt. And I think they're so oriented, like with tigers, they're so oriented on horizontal, get the neck from underneath, break the neck from up top. And it's like when they see a vertical animal walking by, I think they're like, first of all, I don't know what this is. Second of all, it smells weird. Third of all, where do I even, you got to be desperate to take that risk. I don't think that lions are a different story, but with jags, with tigers, with leopards, I've never ever felt any fear being around a jaguar, like any fear. I don't even take pictures of them. I just enjoy it.
Wow.
I let other people take pictures. If I'm with people, I'll let them take pictures, but I will not lift my camera for a jag. I'll just stand there and just
take it in.
Yeah. You get to see them so rarely. I don't want to sit there finally seeing one and then put another screen in front of my face.
Right.
Look through it through some glass. Like,
whoa.
yeah, that's our camera.
They've started them. That's from yours?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that thing.
Yeah.
That is so majestic. What an amazing animal. Those glowing eyes.
Well, that's the crazy thing. You shine your headlamp into the night, and then when things look back at you, you got to wonder what it is. It's like,
Well, when there's two eyes in the front,
there's two eyes are in front, yeah. But sometimes the deer, but then the jags do this thing where they move their head like this. They try and see around your headlamp. They'll like do this little side to side thing. Like the deer, they'll just blink at you. They'll just blink. And so you start learning the eye shines. You start learning because then you can be out there at night and you look at something and people are like, oh shit, dude, it's a jag. And it's like, no, it's a deer.
When you were saying that the uncontacted tribe were speaking in monkey calls,
Yes.
What are they doing?
So JJ's dad used to tell us, he said, if you're ever out in the forest and something doesn't sound right, he was like, get out of there. And he was like, because they will use the tinamou calls, like the undulated tinamou is like, but like, we know what that sounds like, but we also know what it doesn't sound like. And so like every now and then you'll hear one that's, different. And like, we all get freaked out because we're like, that's how we do it. That's how JJ taught me to do it. Like if there was a bunch of tourists right there and JJ wanted me to come over and like chill with him and we wanted to go hang, he would just do that. He'd get my attention. And like, I know that it's not a tinamou. I know it's JJ. And so it's like, they've taken that to a whole nother level where they can communicate. And so there was a group of guys who was upriver and they got surrounded. They heard monkey calls coming from different directions. And they realized that they were completely surrounded. And they, like, at least one of the guys who was telling it to me, he got in the water and like crawled like a turtle and like escaped. And then the tribe showed up and then there's this whole showdown where they actually shot one of the community members. And then one of the guys who knows some of their language was saying that it looked like they were mad with the guy that shot the guy. They were mad with him. Like, they were like, why did you do that? Now there's going to be retaliation. Like, why did you shoot him? And like, there was like a whole discussion happening while these people were like huddled in the stream waiting to see if they got killed too. So it's like, I don't really, like, so when you get these loggers going in there, it's like, yo, we'll pay you to protect the rainforest. And like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to be going into these areas that are that dangerous. So yeah. So at this point now though, through all of this though, we've established jungle keepers. We have 50,000 acres. We're trying to do 300,000 acres. And if we can do that, we'll basically be helping to establish one of the largest protected areas in the Amazon rainforest, which will encompass these uncontacted people, and they can stay uncontacted and they can stay safe and do whatever they want to do in the jungle, guarding the secret pyramids and the giant ground sloths or whatever the hell it is that they do. But we're close.
Now, how many uncontacted tribes are they aware of?
I think there's like over 100 different groups across the Amazon. There's also varying degrees of, and the other thing is the conversation so often gets turned to like they're, violent, and that they're people to live out in the jungle. And I have no idea how they do it either, because, at night we need headlamps. We don't have night vision. All the animals have night vision. So it's like, what do they do that night? They're able to make fire in the jungle at night every day. If I gave you an entire book of matches, me and you, we sat down right now in the jungle. I was like, okay, cool. You got a machete and a book of matches. First one to make fire wins. We couldn't do it. It's wet. Everything is wet. So how are they, are they doing bow drill? What are they doing? So
I know.
We don't really know. No. We don't know how they do that. We don't know how they stay infection free. We don't know what they do with their old people. We never see old people. We never really see children.